to talk to you today.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me on.
Heck yeah. So we'll give folks a couple of minutes to jump in this morning. I know it's early by Dragon Con standards for sure. It is early by non-Dragon Con standards, I think.
I'm
But
tech. This is late. This is sleeping in for me.
amen. I was in another life. I was a camp counselor, and
Oh
so
God. There you
same
go.
for me, man. Like the sun's been up for 3 hours. I had a long lie-in this morning.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, super excited to start this digital media spotlight series. I think it's going to be really cool to get to know some of the panelists and some of the creators that we've got on board. And so grateful for you for being our first victim here. Our first,
I'm happy to be a guinea pig for
yeah.
this.
I believe that about you. I know we only met a couple of years ago, but one thing that was very clear to me, Scott, is how quick your hand is to go up when somebody's looking for something.
Yeah. Sometimes to my own detriment. But
Hopefully not this time. Hopefully this time
unfortunately, I forgot the lesson from my military days, where it's where they tell you don't volunteer. Whenever the commander needs something, don't volunteer.
That's right, because you don't know what it's gonna be.
Yeah.
My dad was he was in the army. He was a radio operator.
Oh, there you go.
In Korea, and very much his like what he learned was never raise your hand.
Yep. Yep. When you raise your hand for the military and you raise your hand to, take the oath, and then that's the last time.
Right, exactly. And like the way he told it, back then people were like, even that was a mistake, son.
Yep.
Like,
yep.
This was
Don't make it
before
harder on you.
right. This was after a draft and then before another one, right? And so for them, like that mentality of like, yeah, I'm gonna go do it of my own volition, was kind of like a
well, okay. you made a choice.
Right. Oh, you're one of these. All right, son, let's go. But yeah, so I guess that kind of leads me into my first thought though, Scott. Like, how did you get into Dragon Con?
Through my podcast, actually. Through the Blood Crow Stories. Ellie Collins, who's probably a Dragon Con mainstay at this point. We got together and we created the Blood Crow Stories serialized horror show in podcast format, kind of like War of the Worlds meets was it American Nightmares or
American Horror Story?
American Horror Story, that's what it is.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it, because it feels like that, right? It's got this like, it's almost like Blair Witch Horror Story and War of the Worlds kind of put together, right? Where it like,
yeah, well, each season has its own self-contained story, but then there's kind of an overarching situation with the Blood Crows and everything like that. So, it's got layers.
yeah.
Sorry.
Highly recommend it to anybody watching to check out the Blood Crow Stories.
Yeah,
the way y'all fold stories together is super cool.
Yeah, and that's all Ellie. She does the writing. I do all the audio stuff. So, sound effects, music, stuff like that, recording. So anyway, we got together, we started doing the show. In our first year, we had a panel. We did a live show for Dragon Con.
Oh, nice.
And that was actually my first time meeting Charles. And so I came in because we had a lot of people on the stage, so I had to get like extra mics and stuff. So I brought in a mixer I was using at the time. So I brought in a mixer, plugged everything up, got everything tested. We had the show. And then as soon as the show was done, I got everything set back the way it was because I have a audiovisual background. I've done hotel AV for I think like 3 or 4 years at that point.
Okay.
And, and then packed up my stuff and shook Charles' hand, said thanks for the opportunity, and went about my business.
Very business, like come in, set it all up, like completely change everything that they had going on.
Yeah.
Set it up to the way that you wanted it to be.
Mm-hmm.
Knock out the show, leave, like put everything back together. Oh, that's awesome. And so like, and then just right there, right? Charles is probably like, fuck, how do I get this guy?
Well, and then even the next morning, Ellie was on a panel. So I come in just to, go in and support her. And I walk in and Ellie's like, Scott, fix the audio. It's not working. Like, okay. And I walk in and, it just turned out they had turned the master. It wasn't a big deal. It was just the master volume was down. Just Charles hadn't gotten in that late that morning, because that's morning time in Dragon Con. Nobody's up that early unless you're there for the parade. You're not up that early. So, but got it fixed, got their panel going, and then Charles shows up like I think 15 minutes later. So, and then after that year, I was just kind of like, I don't know. And again, this kind of goes back to the volunteering thing. I'm not sure what possessed me, but I was just like, I'd like to kind of be a part of this thing. So I reached out to Charles and was like, hey, I do audio stuff like that. I was thinking more like doing other podcasts or maybe editing for other podcasts because he was doing FTH Beyond and some of his other shows. But I was like, when we talked for a good like 45 minutes to an hour on the phone.
What, with Charles? No. That man can make a conversation out of a like fast food order.
Oh, absolutely. But we hit it off right away. So when the next year's Dragon Con came around, he's like, you're going to be signed up as one of the volunteers.
I love that. I love that Charles voluntold you.
Well, I'd already volunteered, so like,
okay.
Yeah, great idea, boss. Sure.
Wow, Charles, really insightful. I'd love to.
Yeah. And so that year, I actually brought in my computer and we were able to record at least like a good portion of the panels. And then we just kind of like, actually it was hilarious. The first day, because just kind of a little behind the scenes here.
Yeah. What year was this?
2018.
2018. Okay, cool. I'm just trying to get a timeline in my head.
Yeah, no, I'm trying to remember the timeline because my years are messed up after 2020.
Oh, weird. You're the only one, Scott. Don't worry.
Yeah. Well, I think this was 2018. And so Dragon Con does have his own tech department.
Mm-hmm.
And so the day before, they usually have their own microphones and mixers and everything like that. Excuse me. And so we had talked about wanting to stream the Dragon Con because we were still podcast at this point, but trying to make the switch over to digital media. So we wanted to at least record, and if we could stream the panels, all the better, just to get a bigger reach out. Also to have the recordings so people can use them for, their shows.
Their own shows.
So you have your own show at Dragon Con. If you can record that live, that's a cool episode.
For sure.
And then, so that year I brought in my computer. One of the other volunteers brought in a nicer board because the stuff they give you, it works, it's decent, but it's all analog. So it's really hard to do any sort of digital recording or anything like that. So like I walked in and Charles had a couple guys, helping out as other volunteers, like, okay, pull everything up. We're doing this from scratch. And, so we got to work, laid everything out. I got everything set up the way I wanted it. And it was looking good. And like Charles comes back in at the end of the day and he's like, "Oh, you're not going anywhere. you're, you're attached to my hip from today on."
Yeah.
So
honestly, so my first experience meeting you was in 2019. It was the next year. My show had gotten its first like big con live show at Dragon Con.
Yep.
And we had been a podcast at this point for 3 years. We come in like fresh faced, no idea what's going on, right? I think Justin Robert Young may have just been in the room, and so everything was a little crazy as jury like
crazy at Dragon Con period.
Sure, but like especially post jury interactions, right? That dude's energy is up there,
yeah. He did his show live that year, and yeah, Justin Robert Young's his panels were always all right.
And so this was even before the con had officially started, right? Like this was before the kickoff, before everything, but that energy just was in the room. And so we come
Thursday.
in, and
was this that Thursday?
Yeah, this was Thursday.
Okay.
So there's 5 of us in the room. And this is my first time meeting anybody. And like Charles is 600 feet tall. And then there's you, who like just you had your face on of like, no, it's time to work, right? And I was so intimidated, like by you, behind the board, like it. In sports movies when they do like the montage of like the players' faces just before the big game, and everybody's, it was like that. I was like, oh shit, this dude's serious. Like, this is okay, cool.
Yeah, right. I was definitely in work mode, which I
and like Sorry. Now that I know you, I can't wait for the next time we're physically in the same space to just like bear hug the crap out of you.
Yeah, same.
Because now that I know that you're a big teddy bear, I am not going to be worried by like work mode Scott.
When everything's first getting kicked off, like before the kind of, before everything is rolling. I am definitely in like business mode. I am like, and again, I've done AV for 5 years now. So like, I'm used to being very professional in front of clients and that whole sort of deal. So, I also just hyper focus. Like, I am a tech. This is my job. If anything goes wrong, it's on me. It reflects on me. So, I probably come off as kind of an asshole.
No way. It was just like, oh, this is a serious production. Ellie. Good morning, Ellie. Shout out to Ellie, Wicked Kender, and Kruggles in chat for being here this morning. Really appreciate it. I know it's super early for us, Dragon Con trolls here, but
but yeah, I mean, I'm definitely like game face on. At least until the first panel or two goes off, and then I can usually kind of, because, and I'm not gonna talk mess on anyone, but I think a lot of people volunteer for Dragon Con and they think it's just okay, this is cool, this a party and whatever, and it's like, well, for me, especially with the, I was building a relationship with Charles at the time, so I got to come in with my A game. I can't come in like half drunk and
not the first year anyway.
Not the first year. After the first year, I can relax a little bit. Everyone, I know people now, and people kind of know what to expect. But that first year, like, you got to come in kind of hard,
right? And that's what we were trying to do too. We came in like full on personality mode. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like we're selling selling our hard as we can. Like,
well, you do that, and then you have Charles calling Anthony Andrew. I think it was like, okay, Andrew. His name's Anthony. Well, I'm calling him Andrew. Okay,
right. And of course, like now we'd be like, all right, Chuckles, listen here, you know. But like then we were like, okay, you can call me whatever you want.
No, it's like, yeah, F you, dude.
But yeah,
And
no,
I mean, that's, personally, that's what I try to do is like, I want people to realize when they're coming in, we're trying to stake our claim as digital media and
to a
everything.
thing, right? Like,
Like you're coming into our house, we're going to treat you really well and you're going to get some awesome recordings. And then, if you stay around and meet people, you're going to find out we got an awesome community.
yeah, and that really was like my first experience was like, oh, the panels are like run very professionally, right? And like the audio in the room sounds so good. Has audio always been like a passion of yours, or was that something that you've developed over time?
It I would say over time. Basically, when so I was in the military. I've been deployed twice. The
Okay.
second time I deployed, I came back and I wanted to go back. I was ready to get out of the military, and I wanted to go back to school. And for whatever reason, I wanted to do something with music. I'm a musician, but the music school didn't take the post 9/11 GI Bill, and so then I found Art Institute of Atlanta. Whoa, excuse me. Let me.
Yeah.
There's more talking than I'm used to, so excuse me.
Yeah, I was gonna say normally you're the behind the scenes guy,
Yeah,
putting you
exactly.
up in front of the camera this morning. Sorry to
Oh no, I'm happy to do it. Anyway, so I found the Art Institute. They took the post 9/11, and I was like, well, audio recording, I can do audio stuff or whatever. And then while I was at school, one of my teachers was telling all of us, like, look, you're not going to just start off working in a studio, and you're not going to be working for Jay-Z or anything like that. You need something to pay the bills. Audio visual is a good way to do that. So, I started working. I got a job for an AV company, and that's kind of where it all started. And later realized that audio is more of a hobby for me. That I just don't have the drive to make it something full time, because it's really hard to have an audio career,
sure.
especially with music now. Like everybody's got a better bedroom setup,
Yeah.
you know. But then again, I kind of fell into the podcasting niche with thanks to Ellie, and kind of went from there. So yeah, it's kind of that's my whole audio story.
Yeah, that part cuz for me I grew up obsessed with music as well. Like that was
Mhm.
everything I spent my time doing was around music, whether it was going to see bands, hanging out in recording studios with my
Yeah,
friends' bands, like building stages in my backyard for bands to play in. Like that was the space I lived in, right?
yeah.
Like the Northeast punk scene
Mm.
was pretty much everything that I cut my teeth on. And then like I had always wanted to be more involved with music, but didn't like ever make that move. And then I found podcasting, and it felt a lot like radio, right? Like
Mhm. Mhm.
old school kind of drive time or like, talk radio
Yeah,
style
old
shows, right?
podcast radio.
Yeah. And so I was like, oh, this is close enough to scratch the itch and doesn't require me to like learn an instrument, you know?
Right.
Do you feel that way about audio engineering for podcasts? That it's like close enough without having to deal with the mess that is bands?
I mean, I traded bands for actors, so I don't know
Oh,
how much different it really is.
touche, touche.
And if I'm going to dive into something, I'm going to dive into something crazy. So instead of like, oh, I'm just going to record a podcast with my friends, talking about random geek stuff or whatever, I'm going to make an audio drama, with my friend, with like a slew of 30 actors and actresses. And
I'm glad you bring that up because the Blood Crow story it has a 32 actor cast. Is that correct?
Last I checked, I've stopped trying to keep count at this point.
That is so many people. Like that. I think I've driven through towns here in Texas with lower populations.
Right.
How do you, the audio producer, manage that?
Uh, yeah.
Is that 32 tracks in Reaper for you? Or like
For just for voice acting, yeah. You're not even talking about sound effects, music, layering sound effects, and I've got some sessions that are in like 90 tracks, 100 tracks. Yeah.
update by the way, Scott from Ellie.
Yeah.
Y'all are up to 35 now.
Yep. And this is and this is and I don't know if she's including all of like the guest actors we've had because season 2 we had a lot of guest actors, which was a whole nother monster because people are recording from home and not everybody has a professional setup like we do.
Sure.
So yeah, yeah, it's a lot. And you know, I kind of thank my military background because I was an officer, so I was used to being in charge of troops.
Sure.
Uh, so you know, I would together Ellie and I have been able to wrangle up and a lot of them are fantastic. Our cast is great. They're very flexible. They do work with us, and we've been blessed to have a lot of really talented voice actors. But life is life. Stuff happens like, oh, hey, I can't make it to tonight's recording session because, you know, something came up or, you have your no shows. Stuff happens. Life
Of
happens.
course. Especially with a cast of 35. Like,
Oh, yeah. So, so how do I do it? I don't know. We just did. We used, I think it was Trello we used for scheduling
oh, sure.
sessions. And oh, by the way, we went through like 3 different studios to
Oh,
record this.
were y'all able to record, like, for the most part, live in person?
Yeah. Mhm.
Oh,
But
that's so nice.
we did all the recording was done live. The exception was if like they just couldn't make it, but they had a microphone at home, we would work with that. But
Sure.
no, we as much as we could, we had everyone live. We tried to have, you know, uh, backtracking a little. Part of the reason the podcast started was I was partnered with a friend and I had built up a studio in Norcross in Lawrenceville, Georgia. Um, and so, we were talking and I was just like, well, I want to use this studio for something. Let's do something. And Ellie's like, okay, how about an audio drama podcast? And I'm like, a what? you know, and she
Step
introduced me.
back, define each of those words individually and
Yeah.
then
Well,
together, please.
you know, and I was familiar with the old radio tales and stuff like that. I didn't know that was still a thing,
Right.
or that was actually kind of a booming thing at the time. So she introduced me to a couple of the podcasts, and I listened, and I'm like, okay, because I was just out of school at this point too, and I'm like, well, I still want to use my audio skills. I don't, I was trying to record bands, but that's tough to do when you're starting out. And I was just trying to keep my audio chops up. And it was like, well, this is sound effects. This is music. This is storytelling with audio. Sounds fun. Let's do it. And so that first studio, that first studio shut down because it was too much. And the people I was partnered with, we just had too big of a space and was costing too much.
Sure.
So we moved to another studio spot with a much smaller footprint. But then same thing, just it was costing too much and we had to shut down. And then we partnered up with, I am blanking on their name. Why am I blanking on their name? It was another. It was Atlanta. Oh my god, they're gonna kill me if they watch. They're gonna kill me. It was another Atlanta based radio broadcast, and they were doing Atlanta Radio Theater Company. Thank you, Ellie.
I was gonna say we'll just fix it in post. Nobody'll know.
No, I don't fix in post. Atlanta Radio Theater Company, because they do their own radio broadcasts. They do more of kind of the old school ones, and they're a Dragon Con staple as well. So
Cool.
we were partnered with them, working within their studio before everything shut down.
That's awesome.
So yeah, wrangle up 35 voice actors and actresses, go through three studio moves. Yeah. Just jump right into the fight.
It sounds like a big production, right? Our show is a 5-person show, and even that feels daunting sometimes. Like we're 5 people recording individually all over the country, and so there are those kind of challenges, right? And like Krugel says in chat, how do you find 35 people with free time at the same time?
This goes to Ellie, because Ellie just knows everybody. So we just put out a call, and we didn't start out with 35. We built up to that. We started, sure, I think, about 10 or 12 for our first season. And we did auditions, and we got people. Unfortunately, with what we were doing, we can record ahead. We can record 2 or 3 episodes ahead. So we would just, we'd set up usually 2 or 3 recording nights. Hey, which one can you show up? Okay, cool. And we just record all their parts for 3 episodes, and then I stitched that together in post.
Oh, sure. Because I guess with the format of your show, it's not like they're responding to each other live necessarily, right? All the time. And well, so you can almost do it like a movie shoot, right? Where like you film X number of people this week, and then
Yeah, I mean, we tried our best to, like, if we had people with dialogue scenes together, we tried our best to have them in the room together, because that always creates.
It just feels so much better. Yeah.
Yeah, and a lot of times, especially after the first few episodes, we knew who we can trust to improv or ad lib. So you had some just wonderful ad libs happen that, like, we didn't write that, but that worked.
Yeah. So, some cool discovery.
Yeah, but if that wasn't the case, then Ellie would usually read against them, to give them the timing and everything like that. So yeah, I guess you could say it was very much like a recording a Hollywood movie or something like that. You work with what you got each day and go from there.
Yeah, that's awesome. What would you say has been the thing that you've learned, like the number one thing that you've learned through that experience with Blood Crow Stories?
Organization.
Yeah.
And not just organizing people, but organizing the your mixing and editing sessions, having tracks labeled, having them color coded so you know which thing is which. That's a huge part of doing any recording, whether it's band, podcast, or whatever. Because again, I've have sessions that are in the 100 tracks, and you have to have that organized, or you're going to spend a lot of time trying to dig out something that you did, 2 days ago or whatever. So organizing, and then, taking your time, and giving yourself enough time, instead of because I made the mistake, because we set up, we do 2 episodes a month,
Sure.
First and 15th. And at first I was just kind of waiting to the last second and just getting it all done, which is bad. Don't do that, especially not with a 30-minute podcast. So we
So if
eventually
I'm scheduled to release at 2:30, I should not be trying to finish it at 2, right?
yeah, exactly. Um, so and we got better about recording, getting more episodes written and recording more. So we record like three or four episodes ahead of time. Um, and stuff like that. And we found, and then we would do blooper episodes, because our cast is hilarious. Even when when we're not recording, or not when we're not recording, but when we're not in the
Between takes. Yeah.
yeah. Um, so we found ways to kind of give ourselves some space, because I think when we first did it, we were just like, we got to put ourselves on the schedule and adhere to that schedule, and then you know first season or two in, we're like, okay, maybe we're burning ourselves out here. So but
Yeah.
organization, you
How do I
know
make this easier on myself, right?
yeah,
Because
like
once it switches from like this fun thing to like, oh shoot, I got to get through this. Like
yeah,
that's a tough switch to unflip, right?
yeah, definitely. I mean, recording sessions were always fun. And again, our cast is great, and so fun to be around. Although at sometimes we had to kind of reel them in, because we have cast members that if you just let them go off on a tangent, they will talk for 10 minutes about whatever, and it's
Yeah,
stuff I can't use in bloopers because it's adult content. So,
sure. Or
uh,
like just so far down a tangent that you
yeah.
can't like, yeah.
So but yeah, once the initial kind of um I
Like
guess
the fun of the session wears off, right? Like then it's
yeah.
like the work part.
Yeah, yeah, after the sessions, then it's just me by myself editing, and then sending it off to them for review and everything. You know, it- you just get that, I'm trapped in this room by myself. So how can I make this easier on myself without completely stressing myself out?
Yeah, exactly. That I think is something that I before watching Steph edit her podcast, protest too much. I hadn't really considered how much work editing is.
Mm,
I was the talent. I showed up. I recorded my part. I interacted, and like delivered the best performance I could, and then the episode came out.
yeah,
Is in my head how it worked.
yeah. And to be fair, I've had to check some people, because sometimes talent thinks they're more than what they are. Uh,
For sure.
and it's like, nah, dude, I do all the work here. Like, don't get me wrong, you're fantastic. You show up, you're doing great, but you want to see what I have to deal with?
Right.
Here's my, I usually just bring up one of my session files and show it to them and be like, okay.
Yeah. This is how the sausage gets made.
And there's a
Uh,
lot of ingredients. You are like this, you are just like the teaspoon of salt over like 20 pounds of stuff.
so one of the other shows that you do is a Twitch stream.
Mhm,
It's called ATL by Night, right?
mhm. Yep.
Um, what what I'm always curious about is the difference between a podcast
Mhm,
recorded as a podcast for podcast purposes
mhm.
and a Twitch stream that like you can listen to afterward, right?
Yeah.
Or watch afterward on YouTube or that
Mhm.
kind of thing.
But mostly it's
W-
a live show.
Right. What is the how does how do those two things kind of compare and contrast to you as the audio producer for a podcast and the
Mhm.
technical director for a Twitch stream?
I mean, it's live versus post. Um, you know, ATL by night, it's all live. It's all recorded. It's streamed that day. So it's very much kind of like being at Dragon Con. It's like if anything goes wrong, you just have to go through it. And I love live sound. I love live stuff for that reason, because it's just, you were there, you were in it for that, 2 hours plus. You need to stay focused and make sure everything sounds good, and you know stuff doesn't go wrong, or if it goes wrong, you fix it right on the spot or do whatever you got to do. Whereas obviously, Blood Crow Stories, it's a lot of post work, it's a lot of editing, it's a lot of sound design, mixing and things like that. So and I think that was also, ATL by Night was Ellie's desire to run a Vampire the Masquerade game, which is what the show is based on.
Okay.
Because that's very important to her, and it's something she grew up with. For me, it was a chance to do more live work and less post work. So,
sure.
It was just, okay, I can just show up for 2 hours, and I don't have to spend 20 hours this week doing, I don't have to spend 20 hours editing and everything like that. Like, it's just different disciplines within audio. And I love them all, but when you've done a editing podcast for 3.5 years, you need something a little different to kind of spice it back up.
Right. In chat, gotta always roll with it live, like police coming into the studio due to neighbor incidents while you're live. I need this story, Scott. What?
Police coming to the studio.
Is this an ATL by Night story, or is this a...
That's an ATL by Night story. I'm trying to remember when that was.
The fact that, like...
Oh, I wasn't there for that. Okay. Yeah, that must... Okay, so the past two, unfortunately, due to obviously COVID and everything, I've been absent for the past 2 seasons of the of ATL by Night.
Okay.
Just for quarantine, for safety and everything like that.
Sure.
So I must have not been there that night. Ellie can speak more to that.
Yeesh.
Which I hate. I hate that I'm like, and that's been the tough thing for me last year, is unfortunately I miss out on, and you and I have talked about this, like I miss out on all the projects we do and all of the productions that we're a part of, because you spend that much time together, you become friends, you have your inside jokes and everything like that, and
and it's
I miss
like,
that.
When you build a thing, right, it's almost more than friends, right? It's like you really, I don't know, when you're all putting in that effort to create something together, there's a level beyond. I think
it's that camaraderie, very much like when I was in the military. Like when you're kind of going through hell together, you form a bond,
right?
And to be fair, shows aren't hell, but
sometimes, man,
production can be tough,
Yeah.
And I'm sure you and everyone on your shows, you have that bond that's just goes beyond a friendship.
Yeah. And like, we also all did theater together before doing podcasts.
Oh,
and
well, there you
like,
go.
Tech Week was hell. Like, especially for a bunch of college kids who, like you were mentioning earlier, had not learned not to put everything off until the last minute. I very distinctly remember 3, 4 a.m. Building a staircase in a basement, forcing everyone in the room to sing like Herman's Hermits songs, and like Steph says in chat here, learning lines during Tech Week. Like, we just, you go through some real struggle moments when you're putting a show together.
Or like having to tell your producer that you lost an entire days of recording because you didn't back up properly.
Oh no.
Yeah, how'd that happen?
That
was sometimes season 2, I think, or season 1 or season 2 of Blood Crow was like, like, because I'm like, okay, I'm editing stuff, and I'm like, where's the Where's this audio? Where's this? Oh no. Oh no. You know, that it's that meme that, oh no. Oh no,
Oh
oh
no.
no, oh
Oh
no.
no. Oh no. Mm.
Yeah, and again, like, this is where, our cast is amazing, and we were able to quickly schedule them back into the studio and get it recorded and stuff like that. But, you know, it's more to say that just disaster strikes and stuff happens, and you have to
Gosh.
roll with it. And if you've got the right people around you, you make it happen. And that's the most important thing, is having the right people.
So there was a time during Adventure Incorporated's first campaign
Mhm.
where one of our players is a doctor.
Oh
And
boy.
so he was doing Doctors Without Borders
Oh wow.
in the Dominican Republic.
That's incredible.
Unfortunately, we had not done enough recording sessions to not have to record while he was in the Dominican.
Mhm, mhm.
The internet infrastructure is not super great where he's
Yeah.
staying. And
Mhm,
so he's recording his audio from an iPad in a
mhm,
hotel lobby
mhm.
in the Dominican. And so
Mhm.
all the windows are open, all
Yep,
the doors are open, people are
yep,
coming in and out.
yep.
Obviously, he loses internet and his iPad crashes and he loses all his audio. But
Yep.
we have recorded
Mhm.
2 full episodes, right? And like ATL by Night, a Vampire Masquerade podcast where like the campaign keeps going whether you lose the audio or not.
Yep.
So like we had
Oh, and
just played through this whole thing where like we're telling a story.
mhm.
And so the story beats progressed during that episode.
Yeah. Mhm.
When he got back to America, we had to have him ADR what
Yep.
he had said back
Mhm.
into the recording
Mhm.
without knowing what he had said or
Right.
when he had said it because our
Yeah.
show isn't scripted, right? And
Yeah.
so we would hear a long pause and then he would speak. Like he would say what he thought filled the pause.
Mhm.
And then he would hear the response and be like, oh shit, I said the wrong thing. Let me go back. And like he had to go back and like, okay, they responded this, and this was what it started with. What
Right.
do I say in the middle
Yeah.
to fill that out?
Yeah. And we've experienced that with ATL by Night. Especially during the pandemic. We had one cast member make a very short-lived political run. Um, like, they got into politics, so they had to disappear for a little while, or a couple cast members couldn't be in the studio, just like, because of the lockdowns and everything like that, or you
Yeah.
know, so with thankfully with ATL by Night, there's a lot more, and this is where Ellie's brilliant storytelling comes in. She's able to go, okay, well, we only have these two people tonight. Fine, we'll do a little vignette with just them.
Yeah,
Uh,
that's awesome.
you know,
We
so
ended up having to build a mechanic into the game for the doctor because there
yeah,
were times when like doctors got a doctor, you know,
yeah,
like they got to go
they're not
do
gonna
life
be there
saving.
every day.
Right. And so we built a mechanic for that while he was in residency so that
Mhm.
like, cause residency doctors, they're
Yeah,
like lowest of the low on the totem pole. And
yeah,
so
and they gotta be like there at a moment's notice.
exactly. Uh,
So like,
but
oh
yeah,
nope,
flexibility in digital media is
can't make a
like,
recording session. I've got to go save lives.
yeah, yeah, exactly. Well, the podcast is pretty important. Like you just can never make that argument, right? For as much as we love what we do, we also know at the end of the day, you got to prioritize.
We provide entertainment. We're not saving people's lives.
Right.
I mean, you can argue that, nah, never mind.
Yeah, I was going to say there are absolutely valid situations where shows and entertainment and media like does save lives, right? And like saves emotional distress in a lot of situations. Uh, for myself as well, right? Like
Oh yeah.
multiple times I will find myself relying on the things that like to me are beautiful to get
Mhm.
through a day, right?
Oh, I have some CDs that I've worn out during tough
For
time.
that reason, right?
I
Yeah,
know that
exactly.
I know, like, some people aren't gonna know what a CD is. Music used to come on a disc about yay big.
It was after the discs were this big, and then
Yeah,
before
after,
they
like,
were
I got records, and yeah, you can see down there, I got records down there.
somewhere in the middle. But yeah,
Yeah.
so kind of jumping back on music a little bit,
Mhm,
you shared a meme on your personal Twitter recently that like it was a light switch, and it said "my brain," and then there were two options: completely obsessed,
mhm.
eh, or like utterly obsessed and uninterested.
Oh.
What's got that light switch switched on for you right now? What are you like geeking out on?
Uh, man. Honestly,
While
it's
he thinks about this, y'all,
honestly let's go ahead.
yeah, while he's thinking about this, before the call, like before we jumped online to be live, he was like fixing his new interface to make sure that his live compression was working right to cut out the background noise of like birds chirping in his like general vicinity. So like the answer to me is the same thing that you are always completely obsessed with, which is audio quality.
Also, yeah, you know what? That's actually a good point. I'd say audio gear in general is always like a way for me to kind of flick on. Um, what Mike's referring to is I got a new interface at home for my home setup, and it's got loop back and it's got some functions that I haven't had before. So I've been playing around with it lately to work out, doing streaming, doing stuff like this, or recording interviews and stuff like that. Just getting some new options together of for ideas I might have down the road.
Oh,
Nothing concrete yet. Just
nothing you want to put out to
I have
all right.
nothing concrete at all. It's just more of like uh, I'm a gear nerd. I love audio gear, as frustrating as it can be sometimes. So any chance I can get my hands on new tech or newer tech and play around with it, it opens up options for things down the road. I do want to get back to streaming. I've streamed a few times on Twitch, just myself, not affiliated with any shows or anything like that. Um, that's something I'm kicking around right now. Um,
Sure.
Honestly, I am very much just looking forward to getting back to ATL by night. I'm getting my second shot of the good juice, as we call it. I'm
Is
getting
that what you call it?
yeah, the good good.
Atlanta's weird.
I'm getting my second shot this week, so by the time season 5 premieres in May, I can come back to the studio. And
Yeah.
I am still looking forward to that and seeing everyone there and getting my hands back on my board because I haven't seen the audio equipment there is all yeah, it's all stuff that I bought and everything, so I've been missing it for a year.
God,
Yeah, and
you are like completely obsessed with audio gear.
I am,
Yeah,
and
the people are gonna be great to see, but man, my board.
it's true. It's sad but true, yeah. Like, and Ian, I'm absolutely looking forward to meeting you in person. Gehenna Gaming, Ian is in the chat, and he's joined our cast this year. I haven't actually met him in person yet. I've only talked to him over Zoom calls and such. Um, So looking forward to actually meeting him and some of the other cast members that I haven't met just yet. So
Heck yeah.
that's honestly the biggest thing is I'm looking forward to getting back to ATL by night. I'm looking forward to producing with my friends that I haven't seen in over a year.
Yeah, and we just threw the Twitter and Twitch links into the chat. So if you are in here, make sure to click those links and give those follows so that you can
every Tuesday at 8 p.m.
So you can catch ATL by night. Watch yourself some Atlanta vampire goodness.
And we do have. Let me. I didn't send this link to you. This is my bad.
Oh, we got
have
secret hot off the presses links.
Well, no, we have all of our previous episodes up on our YouTube page.
Ooh. Here, I'm going to do this. I'm going to post the link tree as well here for ATL by night.
Yeah, so
which should have everything in it, right?
Yeah. And we are up to we're up starting season 5 in May. Right now we're in between seasons. Usually we have our interview show, which is called Blood Bonding, where we interview the cast and talk about what went on this past season, stuff like that. I think the next 2 weeks will be like we call family game nights with a V, where we just play like Among Us or stuff like that and generally hang out and have a good time.
Little community builders.
Yeah,
we love those.
We'll be back in season 5 starting in May, and
awesome.
I can't wait.
And are your seasons the type of thing where I have to know what happened in seasons 1 through 4 to be caught up for season 5, or?
It would help.
Sure.
You're going to miss a lot of kind of the background of what's going on because with much like with Dungeons and Dragons, Vampire the Masquerade is a tabletop role-playing game. So like you can jump in later on, but you should really watch everything from season 1 and get the whole story of everything that's happened.
Perfect. Yeah. Our show just wrapped up a 5-year campaign where we released an episode every Monday for 5 full years. And so that like momentum, it feels really good to tell a story that lasts a good long time, right? There's so much growth in character and in plot and in development. So having a show that does have 5 full seasons, like it can be a little like overwhelming at first, but like the emotional payoff for something like that just is fantastic. And so that's where my heart's at, right? I grew up with old serialized TV where 100 episodes is normal, right? And the goal, not the new kind of like 8-episode miniseries and that's it.
Or the new thing where everything just gets released all at once and you can binge it.
Right. And so growing with the show,
we actually had to like go to the TV each week and to keep following along with what's going on.
Yeah, exactly. But like some of those shows still hold up like in this binge format. That's one of the things that I love most about digital media is that like once it's out there, folks can binge it.
Oh no, absolutely. And that's the thing, like, you can absolutely get caught up with ATL by night, with Blood Crow Stories in a couple weeks, depending on how much you're watching a day. But you can absolutely get caught up on the shows very quickly, and then you're ready to go for the next season. So it's not like when we grew up with broadcast, it's like, okay, I missed the past month for some reason. I have to wait a year to maybe it comes back around to reruns or something.
Or like it comes out on DVD, right? Like those were your options, were either miss the show or buy the DVDs. Like, yeah. sucked.
And we all had and we all had and we all had the walls of DVDs of like past seasons that we've watched once and never will watch again.
Right. Yeah. Gosh. So fortunate to live in 2021, where we don't
absolutely.
have that problem.
Absolutely.
Scott, this has been awesome. This has been really fun. I want to hit you with some rapid fire questions, and then I want to give you a minute to kind of like give your closing, whatever closing thoughts you want to give, whatever shout outs you want to give. And then I'm going to go have a morning because it's like, that's what I love about doing this kind of morning wake up spotlight is like, we get to be done after having a great conversation and have a whole day ahead of us. So thank you everybody in the chat for sticking around and hanging out. This has been so fun. We're going to do these every other week up until Dragon Con, highlighting different panelists and different guests and different volunteers within the digital media track. So make sure to stick around and find out more about all of the folks who are going to be participating in Dragon Con 2021, however that looks, right? We really appreciate it. Check out the VOD on YouTube once it gets uploaded. Invite your friends to the channel. As we get kind of closer, we're going to be doing more stuff on the Digital Media Track Twitch channel to kind of hype everybody up for the con. And also check out the Dragon Con charity this year. The 2021 designated charity partner is Big Brothers Big Sisters of Metro Atlanta. Through one-to-one mentoring, BBB SMA helps at-risk youth discover their full potential, succeed academically, build confidence, and develop skills that'll lead to increased economic mobility. I've got the link to that in the chat. It'll also be in the VOD once that goes up in the show notes. Definitely make sure that if you've got some money to throw at something, that you're making sure to make the right choices for the world around you. And Scott, rapid fire questions. What color is your toothbrush?
Black.
If you could buy any food right this second, what would it be?
I'll probably do it anyway. Quesadilla.
Ooh. If YouTube or Twitch? Rapid fire, Scott.
I know. Both.
No. YouTube or Twitch?
YouTube.
Yeah. Dog or cat?
Cat.
Console games or PC games?
PC.
iOS or Android?
iOS.
Cake or pie?
Say again?
Cake or pie?
Oh, cake.
Awesome. Great choices. Very fun. Thank you so much, Scott. Tell everybody everything that you want to say.
Oh man.
No pressure.
Mike, thanks for having me on. This has been a blast. It's good to actually get to talk to you again. We haven't talked since last Dragon Con, so this is fun. Again, ATL by night every Tuesday, 8 p.m. New season starts in May. Let me get the right date. I should know these dates offhand, but I'm bad with dates. May 4th. Again, catch up on the show on YouTube. We posted the link in the chat. Blood Crow Stories, we are currently on hiatus still, just because the amount of people we've got can't really do that in the studio right now. But we do have 3.5 seasons of content. Check us out, iTunes, Stitcher, pretty much wherever any podcatchers. We're not on Spotify though, so keep that in mind. Very much looking forward to Dragon Con this year, whether it's in person or digitally again, or some sort of hybrid. I'm hoping it's in person. I can't wait to see everyone again. If you're coming to Dragon Con Digital Media and you're new, if you're a new podcaster or anything like that, don't be intimidated by me. I know I can be scary, apparently. So, feel free to come say hi. If you have any questions, please hit me up. I am in the Discord, and I'm always available for questions about audio tech, audio gear,
Yeah, new folks, remember this smiling, beautiful face when you get there and he is in full-on war mode. Scott is a like just he's the best. Scott, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. This was so much fun. Everybody in chat, thank you for hanging out. L Hanley, Gehenna Gaming, Ellie.
Ian
We've
said, Gehenna Gaming said, if you can find yourself moving from Massachusetts to Georgia, you can listen to the entire season of Blood Crow Stories on the drive. So keep that in mind. If you need to make a big move this year, Blood Crow Stories.
nice. Awesome, awesome, awesome. Thank you all so much. This was great. And we will see you in 2 weeks with a special guest, Josh Meltby from Goblins and Growlers. And so
Oh, Josh, that's awesome. I'm gonna
he's a sweet,
definitely.
sweet boy.
Yeah,
Come hang out with us.
I've gotten to stream with Goblins and Growlers over the past year, and they're fantastic. So looking forward to that.
Awesome. Awesome. Thanks, y'all. And take care of each other out there.